Hey guys, what's up and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, please click that subscribe button. It would mean the world to me and I would just really appreciate it. But getting right into the video, so if you haven't seen my haunted house video, like me moving out and all that stuff, pause this video right now and go check that one out because this one will probably not make any sense because there's like a part 2 to that. I'll probably link it somewhere up here. So just pause the video, go watch that real quick and then come back. But anyway, so after I posted my last video, I was getting a lot of DMs on Instagram about how people were telling me like, oh my god, Jen, like I remember you telling me that like your house was haunted or you mentioning something here or there, but like I never thought it was like to that extent, right? But the most interesting DM that stood out to me was from my friend Melina. I haven't seen her in a little while, but she sent me this link to this website called yourghoststories.com, and this is literally about to blow your guys' minds because it blew my mind. Like I was literally like blown away. I've been blown away and in shock for a couple days now since she sent me this because I just could not believe it. It's pretty much just like proof that I'm not crazy and I'm not a liar. So yeah. I'll show you guys right now, right here. So this right here, this is the link that she sent me, and it's pretty much like a story or like an article or whatever from yourghoststories.com, and it was published 6 years ago on August 20th, 2013, and by a user named Radish23. It says it's a middle-aged adult female now, I guess. I don't really know. I'm assuming it's a female from like the way she wrote her story, but anyways, besides the point. So this story is pretty much talking about how she lived in my old house, the one I just moved out of in 2001, and she's talking about a lot of the things that happened to her while she lived there. She only lived there for a year, and then she moved out, and yeah, she lived there with her dad, her brother, and her boyfriend, and she's just talking about her experience there and how the house is haunted and stuff like that. Now, I moved there in 2005, and I've been living there since 2005 until 2020, so all those years I've been living in this house, just to give you guys a little idea. But and I know she's talking about my house because she actually drops my address for my old house in the comments, and she describes the house down to a T. And I also know a lot of the places and spots that she's talking about where things are happening and like she was experiencing things in her house. But yeah, so I'm just going to get right into it, and I'm going to read this story out loud to you guys, and I'm going to read some of the comments, and also stick to the end because I have more info that I found out, like really creepy things that I found out about that little land space that I told you guys about before. It was just like property of this town, like no trespassing, that was like diagonally across the street from like my house. Yeah, there's just like a lot that I found out about that little like area, so stick to the end so you guys can see. I will be inserting like a little video of it, and I'm also going to be putting up like screenshots of just like info that I found on that little land space. But anyways, I'm going to just read this right now for you guys, right? And also really quick, I'm apologize ahead of time because I'm a crap reader, and also there's some words in here that I don't know how to pronounce and I just didn't understand, but besides the point, I'm just going to start reading it now because I'm talking too much. But yeah. So it starts off with, I lived in a couple of places where strange things have happened. The most recent was my last apartment that I lived in for a year back in 2001. It was a small old apartment building located at the end of the dead end street. I moved in with my dad and my brother and my boyfriend at the time. Everything was fine at first, but slowly we began to notice the atmosphere of the apartment felt oppressive. It just felt stifling and heavy there. Like the air in the apartment just seemed very oppressive and heavy. And it never felt like home. When you first move into a place, it takes getting used to, but eventually you acclimate and it feels like your home. This apartment never felt like that. There was a number of incidents that happened there that I can't explain. A few times there was a loud pounding on the screen door at the entrance of our building. We lived on the second floor. One time it happened at 10 a.m. and the second time it happened at 5 a.m. The first time it happened, I was hanging out with some friends when we heard a loud banging on the front door to my building. My dad went downstairs to see who it was, but there was no one there. He went out into a small front yard and even down to the driveway and around back. He found no one. The second time it happened, my boyfriend and I were up. We were serious night owls. and laying in bed, talking, when suddenly we heard the same really loud banging on the downstairs front door. It scared us because it was so loud and sudden. We peered through our window down onto the front porch, but there was no one there. There was this little awning that hung over where the front door was, so obviously we couldn't see under it from where we were. Which I remember that there's like a little metal thing that hangs over the front door so like you don't get wet when it rains and stuff like that. My boyfriend said, I'm going to go downstairs and check it out. I pleaded with him not to, but he went downstairs anyways. While he was on his way downstairs, I stayed in our room and looked out the window, looking to see if I could find somebody running away. He went outside just like my dad had done the last time this happened. I saw no one while I kept a lookout, and when my boyfriend came back upstairs, he said there was no one there, of course. One night, my brother and I were hanging out watching a movie. Suddenly, there was a really loud crash/banging noise in the front of our apartment. My brother got up and tried opening the door. It wouldn't budge. He tried for a couple of minutes to get to the door, but it just would not open. We had a back door to the apartment, so he went out the back door, down the stairs, and out the back door of the building, and came back up to the apartment from the front door, through the front of the building. He got the door open, and a pile of boxes came tumbling into our apartment when he opened the door. And this was our backyard door. This door could access pretty much any part of the house. So if you came in from the back door, you could get into the basement, into the first floor, into the second floor, and also up into the attic. We had this narrow landing outside of the apartment in the hallway. My father had boxes of books stored there. They were pushed back on the landing a couple of feet away from the door to our apartment. Now, my dad was very meticulous in stacking these boxes. They weren't stacked lackadaisically. I don't know how to pronounce that word. I guess she means like they weren't stacked all crazy and like out of order and just like unbalanced. The bigger, heavier boxes were on the bottom, and they got lighter and smaller towards the top, and they were stacked about 5 or 6 boxes high. They sat there for months without ever being moved or knocked over, but somehow they not only fell over after sitting there for a long time, but somehow moved forward and then fell over onto the door in such a way that they landed underneath the doorknob and kind of wedged it shut so that it couldn't be opened. The building we lived in was built in the 1920s or so. It had been a house at one point, but eventually was converted into 2 apartments, first floor and second floor. And there was an attic on the 3rd floor. We checked out the attic one day. It was empty, save for an old trunk and pictures of trains from a magazine taped to the walls of the attic. Nothing happened while we were up there looking around, but after checking out the attic, I would wake up some mornings from a nightmare, and I would think to myself, the attic is giving me nightmares. I don't know where that thought came from, and it kind of freaked me out. This would happen from time to time. I remember talking with my best friend, who's now my boyfriend, once, and telling him how I kept getting these really bad headaches. I casually said, the attic is coming downstairs and giving me these headaches. And then I laughed. After saying that and laughing, I thought to myself, why did I say that? And why did I think it was funny? There were times where I would be in my room reading or just hanging out when all of a sudden I would smell the attic. It was an old musty smell that the attic in our building had. It would show up out of nowhere and just as suddenly disappear. This would happen even in the middle of the winter when it wasn't humid out. In addition to the apartment feeling oppressive and suffocating, stuff broke there all the time. At the end of the year, right before we moved out, I made a list of the things that had broken, and I ended up with a total of 30 to 35 things, appliances mostly. These weren't old appliances either. Some of them were brand new, but they would just stop working or would literally fall apart. Which is funny because when I lived in my old house, I would put, you know how like you have like lotion bottles and deodorant and perfume and whatever on top of your dresser? This would happen to me all the time. I would literally like put on lotion and like stack my bottle back onto, like place it back onto my dresser or like my deodorant or something, and it would just like all of a sudden like tip over and everything would fall. And that would happen to me all the time. And now that I live in this new house, that never happens to me. So it had to happen something from over there. She continues to say, one night while I was in bed reading, I heard a loud tap, tap, tap on my bedroom window. I pulled the curtains back, and of course there was nothing there. We lived on the 2nd floor. This tapping noise wasn't a bug fiddling against the window. It was a set of loud, deliberate knocks, as though someone was rapping their knuckles against the window. The creepiest thing that happened to me there happened at like 2 a.m. when I was home by myself. My dad and boyfriend both worked nights, and my brother was spending the night at his girlfriend's. I was in bed reading when I heard scratching at my bedroom door. I looked around and saw my one cat at the foot of my bed sleeping. I thought, it must be Gray, my other cat. But I was a little freaked out because she never scratched at the door when she wanted to be let in. She would just meow. I was so cozy in bed that I told myself, if she scratches again, I'll get up and let her in. I went back to reading, and sure enough, about a minute later, there was scratching at the door again. The scratching emanated about a foot from the floor onto my bedroom door. It was a loud, slow, and purposeful scratching. I got up and went to the door. This took me all of 5 seconds. I opened the door and said, "Come on, Gray," and stopped. There was no cat. The hairs on the back of my neck stood up. I peered into the dark living room because I was sure I'd see her, but I didn't. I then looked down into the kitchen. It was kind of a railroad apartment. And there, up on the kitchen table, was Gray. She was sleeping. I walked into the kitchen and she was passed out in a deep slumber. There was no way in 5 seconds it took me to open the door that she could have run all the way into the kitchen, hop onto the table, and pass out. I mean, cats are fast, but they're not that fast. And by railroad apartment, I guess she means because the first and second floor had the same exact layout. And it was literally like you walk in and it's the living room, and then there was like the bedroom, which is the one that I'm assuming she slept in by the way she's talking about it from what I remember. And then it's just like you would look out and like you could see straight into like the rest of the house, leading all the way down to the kitchen. There was other things that happened there too. Things would disappear, never to be seen again, even though I know I left them in a specific spot. It would feel like you were being watched, or rather glared at, in the living room. The glaring seemed to originate from the couch in our living room, especially at night. You walk through the room to get a drink from the kitchen, and it would feel like someone was sitting on the couch intentionally staring at you. And there was always that feeling like you were being smothered there. It never felt like our home. We kind of felt like we were guests who had overstayed our welcome pretty much. The whole time we were there, we were only there for a year, and thankfully the next apartment I moved into, the one that I live in now, is perfectly normal and not creepy at all. So people have been commenting to her. Well, they did. So I'm gonna just read you guys a couple of their comments or whatever. One of them says, like, I'm gonna just read you her responses because it kind of talks about like other little things here and there that happened to her. So one of them says, she's replying to this girl Limey, I don't know, that's just her username, and it says, if you type in, and then she says the address of the place, you'll find a street view on Google Maps. You'll see it immediately once you click on street view. It's the last house on the left. It's 3 stories high, and it's brown and a light yellow beige building, which it was for a very long time, but I believe like 5 years before I moved out or so, my aunt had the whole house painted like a light blue-gray color that you guys see in like my thumbnails and like in my last video and stuff like that. But the house was half brown and half like yellowish beige for years. And then she continues to say, diagonally across the street from my old apartment is a small patch of land where an old graveyard was. There was a sign that said, City of Blank, property, no trespassing. There, and I don't see the grave anymore. I don't know if vandals knocked it down or if the town did. I should take a ride over there and see if it's actually down. It looks like the building has a new front door, no more screen door, and new windows. When we lived there, the windows were glass slate windows. The double windows on the second floor are where my bedroom was and where I heard the knocking on my window that one night. Even the hallway of the building was creepy. When leaving or entering the building, it always felt like someone was staring at you at the end of the first floor hallway, where the front door to the first floor apartment was. Always felt like someone was standing there watching you. I lived in a similar type of apartment building now, and I never feel like that coming home or leaving, which is funny because since she lived on the second floor, she felt like that about the first floor, but I lived on the first floor. like that's where my family like domained was, and like then I branched out to like sleeping in the attic and having my own room in the attic. But I would feel like that so hard. Like I would feel like that so hard about the upstairs. Like I would come home at night and like I would open the door and I would run down the hallway into like my door and like just open it really fast because I felt like somebody was at the top of the stairs staring at me. Like it just felt like somebody was there all the time. All the time. And then there's like other comments that she replies to. I'm gonna read it to you guys. Alright, so this is another thing that she says. She's like, okay, here's something else. I don't know why I didn't mention this experience before. I guess it's because it didn't really happen in my actual apartment, but in the general area of my neighborhood. The first night we spent in the apartment, my boyfriend and I had this strange experience. We were in bed talking. The lights were off. Suddenly, my boyfriend exclaimed, "What the hell is that?" and leaped to the couch that sat under the huge bedroom window. I asked him what was going on, and he said, "Look," and pointed towards the sky. I went over to the couch and looked outside. There, in the night sky, about 100 feet above us, were these balloon things. That's the best way I can describe them. They looked like these off-white balloons, and they had a faint glow to them. There were about 7 of them, and they were in a line, one in front of the rest following behind. Each balloon emitted a faint glow. They flew in a straight line across the sky and looked to be going at a relatively quick speed. We watched them head west and just stared at them until we couldn't see them anymore. I don't know what that was about at all. They weren't balloons, because balloons don't fly in a straight line, they float. These things, whatever they were purpose driven. What the purpose was, I don't know, and I guess I never will. Which, keep in mind that she said 7 balloons for later on. So then she continues to give more comments and stuff like that. And she also wrote this one back. She said, "Oh, I meant to mention that the basement apartment was empty and unfinished. There was a finished bathroom and bedroom down there, but there wasn't a finished kitchen. That's why I was able to sneak down there to take a shower. No one was living there at the time. The attic, although not particularly creepy, did have an air of loneliness to it. There was a sadness to the place. I remember that there was this really old wooden trunk up there that I fell in love with and wanted to take. It was too big to fit through the attic door. It was a very narrow doorway, so I ended up just leaving it there. In retrospect, I'm glad I did. Who knows if the creepiness would have followed me here to my new apartment if I had taken it." She also said, something really horrible happened to me while I was living there that I didn't mention. This is going to sound so weird that I'm hesitant to tell. One night, I went into the bathroom to brush my teeth. I noticed a hairbrush sitting on the bathroom sink. It was a hard plastic brush with those really thin plastic bristles. You know, the bristles that are super thin? It was like that. I had never seen that brush before. I just kind of shrugged it off and grabbed it and brushed my hair with it. I figured maybe it was my dad's or something and he had left it out. Sometime later, maybe a week or so, I found out I had freaking head lice. It was from that hairbrush. We have no idea where it came from. It didn't belong to anyone in the house, and trust me when I say I grilled everyone about it. It seemed to appear out of nowhere. It was a horrible, horrible experience. Makes me shudder just thinking about it. And then she also goes on to talk about how she showered one night in the downstairs bathroom because the water heater wasn't working on her floor or something like that. And when she got out of the shower, it was really creepy. She said she was scared the whole time. And when she got out the shower, that there was these bugs, these black little bugs that looked like they had just hatched, in the front of the shower, just they're swarmed together. Which is so creepy because remember I told you guys in the first video about all the flies in the window. Those flies in the window, guys, literally looked like a horror movie. It literally looked like a scene out of a horror movie. Which, I just want you guys to picture that in my head. Which I don't understand how it's humanly possible for all that to happen in a matter of 2-3 hours. It just, I don't know. But anyways, moving on from the story, the other stuff that I found out was about the little land space across the street and why it was property of the town, and it said no trespassing. So it actually turned out to be that that little spot is called Vreeland Cemetery, like Vreeland Cemetery, and it actually has 7 people buried there. One of them including the headstone that she was talking about, this man's named James Samuel Post, and his whole family was buried there. He had 3 kids, a wife, and then these 2 other random people were buried there. I don't know who they are or anything like that. I did find out some info on the guy James. He died at 43. His kids, super strange, they all died really, really young. None of them made it past 3 years old, which is super weird to me. I could not find out, well, what happened to them or how they died or anything like that. But I'm gonna be I'll insert the pictures of it right now for you guys to see. And the creepiest thing of it all was definitely the memoir that they left behind for this guy James. I'm gonna read it to you guys right now because it's so creepy. It freaks me out. It just freaks me out. So it reads, "My race is run and yours is running. Be afraid of sin, for judgment is coming. As I am now, so you must be. Prepare for death and follow me." Like, what the fuck? That's crazy. Super creepy. I don't know. But yeah, that's just like my little proof to you guys that I'm not crazy. This house is haunted AF, and me and my family aren't the only ones who experienced it. Obviously, other people who live there did too. I actually ended up making an account on this yourghoststories.com website, and I messaged this girl. I contacted her. Hopefully she answers me back. I would love to meet her and talk to her because she does mention a lot throughout the comments and stuff like that she wished that she had the courage to come and like speak to the current people who are living there, which is obviously us. But she was afraid that we would think that she's crazy or something like that. But I really wish she would have, because obviously we were going through the same thing. But anyways, thanks for watching. I hope you guys like this video. I would put this link in my description, but I really don't want you guys to know like my address, my old address. I don't want anybody going there or just like disrupting the area or whatever, because somebody did buy the house, and honestly I felt like it was my sworn duty to let this man know that he just bought a haunted ass house, but I didn't get a chance to tell him. And also my mom told me, like, after I showed her this link and I read it to her and all that stuff, she was so shocked, and she told me that the man who bought the house actually is like destroying it. So he gutted the entire inside, he redid the roof, and he's remodeling the whole house. So what the future holds for that house, I have no idea. I'm just glad I'm not in there anymore. And yeah, hope you guys enjoyed. Thanks for watching. I'm not crazy. This really happened to me. I was living like this my whole life. I grew up in that house, which should say a lot about the shit that I was dealing with. But besides the point, I post videos every Sunday, sometimes on Wednesdays. Click that subscribe button. Comment down below anything you want. And yeah, love you guys, and thanks for watching. I really appreciate you guys giving me your time. I know my videos, especially these last 2, are really long, but I just really wanted to share that with you guys and let you guys know that, you know, there's really ghosts out there. There's really hauntings out there, which kind of leaves a open-ended question as to what happens after you die. Like, I don't know. I don't want to think about it too much. I feel like I've been talking too much. Sorry if I sucked at reading. Subscribe. And yeah, see you guys in my next video. Thanks for watching.